Hello, welcome to Sabbath School with Branch Davidians. I'm Ed, and I'm here with my wife, Mary.
Hello, we're excited you're joining us today.
Yes, thanks for listening. We present or expound on a principle or belief related to the SDA Sabbath School Quarterly each week. This quarter is on the book of Ephesians. This week's lesson is entitled Living Wisely. Sunday's lesson has us read Ephesians 5, 1 through 2. So let's do that. It reads, Be therefore imitators of God, as beloved children. Walk in love, even as Christ also loved us and gave himself up for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling fragrance. That's Ephesians 5, 1 through 2. Then the lesson asks, in what sense does Paul intend believers to be imitators of God? Sabbath School Quarterly Lesson, Sunday, August 20th, 2023. Of course, we can see, according to the passage, that we are to walk in love. But what does that mean? How do we do that?
Well, first we can notice the word therefore in verse 1. This lets us know that what is said here is building on what was said in the previous chapter. So let's back up to chapter 4 and read some selections. Selections from Ephesians 4, 15 through 25 read, Speaking truth in love, we may grow up in all things into him who is the head, Christ. No longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles also walk, in the futility of their mind, being darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and put on the new man, who in the likeness of God has been created in righteousness and holiness of truth. Therefore, putting away falsehood, speak truth each one with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Again, selections from Ephesians 4, 15 through 25.
So Paul is contrasting truth and falsehood here, along with their effects on the way we understand things, which in turn affects our walk, our actions. Paul says in verse 24, we are created in the likeness of God by righteousness and holiness of truth. In other words, this is how we do it. This is how we become love walkers, by renewing our minds, our thinking, by putting away falsehood in our thoughts and then in our actions, walking in truth and righteousness, which is doing the right thing, right doing. Ellen White said, righteousness is right doing. See Christ's Object Lessons, page 312, paragraph 2.
But it all starts with truth. Paul is telling us here that love is tied to truth, and that God is righteous and truthful. We are to be righteous and holy like he is. Psalm 119, 160 says this very thing. It reads, Truth is the head of your issuances, and every right adjudication is for ineffable time. It is in that sense, basing our thoughts and actions on truth, that believers are to be imitators of God. It's not like we should imitate God or trust God simply because he's God, but because his core character is one of truthfulness and right doing. In other words, he is trustworthy. See our study, How Does Faith Stop Us from Sinning? Linked in the description for more on this.
The same truth about God is expressed in the words, God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. That's 1 John 1:5. Light here is being used as a symbol for truth, and darkness is a symbol for falsehood. Truth, like light, enables us to see or understand, while falsehood, like darkness, makes it so we can't see or understand. Here in Ephesians 5, Paul uses this light-darkness metaphor to communicate truths about how we ought to relate to truth and righteousness, which is based on truth. He says, Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes on the children of disobedience. Therefore, don't be partakers with them, for you were once darkness, but are now light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is well-pleasing to the Lord. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful deeds of darkness, but rather even reprove them. For it is a shame even to speak of the things which are done by them in secret. But all things, when they are reproved, are revealed by the light, for everything that reveals is light. That's Ephesians 5, 6 through 13.
As opposed to speaking the truth in love, Deceptive, empty words are simply words of falsehood. Something false is really nothing. Lies do not comport with what is true in material reality, so they represent nothing. They are empty words. Notice Paul is telling us to have no fellowship with the deeds of darkness. In the next chapter, he intensifies this even more with the armor of God imagery. The idea is that we are supposed to war against darkness, that is, falsehood and unrighteousness. Sometimes we have a tendency to focus our war on a particular person or group of people, and in doing so, that person or group becomes hard to love. In the same way, sometimes we focus on ourselves, whether selfishly focusing on being offended by what someone else has done to us, or by feeling like we are hopeless piles of unworthiness. But if we recognize that our war is not against flesh and blood, others or ourselves, see Ephesians 6:12, we can take the battle to the true enemy, which is not our fellow man, but the falsehoods promoted by Satan, the father of lies, the arch deceiver, that has the potential to deceive all of us if we are not living in the light of truth.
By choosing to align ourselves with falsehood, we can become darkness. In choosing to align ourselves with truth, we can become light. Being around people that love the truth and live the truth is like being around light. And being around people that love to criticize themselves or others, focusing on people, is like being around darkness. Are we focusing on truth or people? It is only by focusing on the truth that we can help people, love people, whether that person is ourselves or someone else. God, an actual person, see Early Writings, page 77, paragraph 1, follows the way of truth. This is why we can trust him as a person. He follows truth. And this is why the light he gives us through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit to the prophets, to us, can be trusted. He and his words are trustworthy.
So I guess you could say, as far as persons go, we are justified to focus on and trust the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But when it comes to us, we shouldn't really focus on or trust ourselves or any man besides Jesus. This is what Ellen meant when she said, "Do not make flesh your arm," which is actually from Jeremiah 17:5. She wrote, quote, "God help us to have a knowledge of the truth. And if you have seen the truth of God, press right to the light and put up the bars behind you. Make not flesh your arm," close quote, Ellen White, Faith and Works, page 78.1. And she also wrote, quote, "God says to every man to whom he entrusts responsibilities, put not your trust in man, neither make flesh your arm," Jeremiah 17:5. Look to God, trust in his infallible wisdom. Regard as a sin the practice so common, even among Seventh-day Adventists, of becoming the echo of any man, however lofty his position, close quote, Ellen White, Principles for Christian Leaders, page 170, paragraph 1.
And just so we don't get tempted to even trust ourselves, Ellen wrote, "Again and again, the record of Nebuchadnezzar's life has been presented to me to present to you, that you may be warned not to trust in your own wisdom or to make flesh your arm." That's Testimonies for the Church, Volume 8, page 162, paragraph 2. Trusting in a person is what is at the core of the ad hominem fallacy, which in Latin literally means to the man or against the man. It is a fallacious way to determine what is true or not true on the basis of appealing to a person rather than the substance of the issue, the evidence. Now, of course, we could appeal to a person or trust a person if they are an expert in the field we are investigating and understand the principles involved in the matter, and promote the truth that has become known from the sufficient evidence. But still, we really are, bottom line, still trusting in the sufficient evidence.
This is true even when it comes to trusting in God's ways. Ellen wrote, quote, "God never asks us to believe without giving sufficient evidence upon which to base our faith. His existence, his character, the truthfulness of his word are all established by testimony that appeals to our reason, and this testimony is abundant." Close quote, Steps to Christ, page 105, paragraph 2. And she wrote, quote, "There are many who believe without a reason on which to base their faith, without sufficient evidence as to the truth of the matter. If an idea is presented that harmonizes with their own preconceived opinions, they are all ready to accept it. They do not reason from cause to effect. Their faith has no genuine foundation, and in the time of trial they will find that they have built upon the sand." Close quote, Ellen White, letter 4, 1889.
Basically, trusting in ourselves and our experience, bereft of true, unbiased experiment, is ignorance. Circling back to Ephesians 4, Paul warned against this way of determining truth. He wrote, "No longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles also walk, in the futility of their mind, being darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them." That was Ephesians 4, 17 through 18.
Instead, just like Ellen said, Paul continues, quote, "Be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and put on the new man, who in the likeness of God has been created in righteousness and holiness of truth. Therefore, putting away falsehood, speak truth." Ephesians 4, 23 through 25. The only correct way, the only reliable way to determine what is true is by an unbiased experiment or investigation that results in evidence sufficient to draw a conclusion with. This is the only way we can know what we believe and believe what we know. This is how to have light. We who either were darkness or are in darkness need the light of Christ shining on us. We need to shine this light on others, no matter what darkness they are in. This is how we imitate God and walk in love.
Thank you for staying with us till the end. We invite you to visit our website, www.bdsda.com, to learn more about who we are and, just as important, who we are not. Please join us each week as we will continue to offer new and interesting insights for your Sabbath School studies.
And if you want to keep up with our new studies as they're published, we recommend subscribing. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on plenty of other podcast apps. Links for subscribing are in the description.
God bless.
Many blessings.